topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Good morning, Florida. I have to get used to saying that. Normally, it's a good morning, Tampa, but we are now modulating all over Florida for this show. It's absolutely one of my favorite shows to do. It is one of those shows that goes by so fast, and we've gotten your letter saying just when it was getting good, the show was over. But we have got a great show for you this morning. I want to apologize. I have had such technical difficulties. The last 3 weeks, we have got them solved now, and I do apologize, but we're here. Let me introduce you to one of the greatest money management people in, well, today I'm going to say Florida, but I think in the United States. Good morning, Ray Ferrara.
Good morning, Steve. It's good to be with you, and where we don't have those technical issues this week. So
exactly, Ray, we do a live show, which most shows on today are pre-recorded, just in case there's a mistake or something made. But we go live, and so the information you provide people is so up to date. We get new letters every week, Ray, saying, I found your show by accident. I found your show. I heard about your show. So let's introduce yourself and about Provise Management Group.
Well, thanks, Steve. And good morning to everyone all across Florida, which for our first time, not just in the Tampa Bay area. So Provise Management Group is a financial planning and investment management firm with 2 offices conveniently located in Clearwater and in Tampa. But we have clients scattered over 34 states, serving about 1,200 families. And Steve, we stress the fact that we are financial planners first and foremost. A lot of people want to call themselves financial planners, and really all they're doing is selling life insurance or trying to gather assets, et cetera. But virtually all of our clients have some form of a written financial plan in their first engagement with us. Some are pretty simple. Some are a lot more complicated, but we believe that with a written financial plan, your odds of success are better than without the plan. We offer a 1-hour free consultation to all of our listeners here at Ask the Experts. And we can do that in either our Clearwater or Tampa offices. And for those that are scattered outside of the Tampa Bay area, happy to do it by Zoom, as we've all become very, very accustomed to. We've got 14 CFP professionals ready to work with the clients, and we're backed up by a wonderful group of 17 staff members that make sure that all of the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. So please take advantage of that 1-hour consultation. All you have to do is call us at 727-441-9022, or you can call us on our 800 number, 800-633-3049, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have and to try to set up that complimentary 1-hour consultation.
Ray, I got to tell you, you've got a very special crystal ball. It is so amazing. So the things that you educate people on that turn out to be so true, and you should be well complimented on that. You know, there's the Feds had that meeting last week. It's been several weeks now, and things are changing. Seems like almost daily. Ray, tell people what we can expect.
Well, you know, that crystal ball sometimes works, and other times it's just cracked and foggy as anybody else's. But you know, at the beginning of the year, Steve, everybody was expecting 6 rate cuts. We said at the beginning of the year that we thought at most there would be 3, and that the Fed would keep interest rates higher for longer. And that's clearly been the case as the last couple of months. The inflation news has been not as good as we would like. It hasn't been terrible, but it hasn't continued a downward trajectory. And until it does, and does so in a sustained fashion, it's unlikely that the Fed are going to do anything with interest rates. Now, the good news is tomorrow we will get the producer price index for last month for April. And we will then on Wednesday get the consumer price index for April. And the hope is that the numbers will show being lower, or certainly, let's say, no higher than what they were in the month of March. And if we can keep ourselves in the same position or slightly lower, then I would say that there is still an opportunity for a couple of rate cuts this year, maybe as early as September. Don't see one at the upcoming meeting in June or July at this point, unless the numbers drop dramatically. And that's not likely to happen. Inflation, for those of us that lived through it during the 70s, is very sticky. It's hard to break its back once it starts. But we are hopeful that things will happen. If the numbers come out good this coming week, then you can expect this to be the 4th week in a row that the market will be up for the S&P 500. If the number is down, if the number is too high, then we can certainly expect that the market will react in a negative way. Our sense is that we're going to hold our own, maybe slightly lower than what we were previously, primarily due to gasoline energy prices being lower in the month of April than they were in the month of March.
Yeah, we had Mother's Day yesterday, and you know, they say when you're sitting around the table with the relatives, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion. But you know what? Our president is continuing to explore ways to forgive student loan debt. Even though the Supreme Court struck it down, he's still out there trying to explore this. What do you think is going to happen with these loan debts?
Well, the president, when he campaigned back in 2020, promised that he would eliminate the student loan debt. And up until very recently, he hasn't been able to find a way to do that would satisfactorily satisfy the laws. The first round, as you mentioned, was struck down by the Supreme Court. He was able to do a modest reduction earlier this year, and now there's another plan that's out. Steve, I feel badly for especially those students who borrowed money and then ended up going to a so-called college or university that was a for-profit college or university, and they really didn't get the education that they expected to get. And clearly there were a lot of folks that had to borrow money to go to colleges and universities where they did get a good education. But you know, a debt is a debt, and it is never healthy, and in our opinion, wise economically to forgive a bunch of debt. if you need to forgive debt or have debt forgiven, we have a process to do that, and it's called the bankruptcy courts. But to just have the government wipe out the debt, adding to the deficit this year and adding finally to the overall debt of our country, there is nothing economically that forgiving of debt like this is a good thing. Now, I'm not going to say that the folks out there that are getting it forgiven aren't going to be very pleased, but think of all of the people who still have the debt and didn't get it forgiven, even those who paid off the debt over a long period of time or a number of years. Where is the fairness in all of that? On top of what is, we believe, are bad economics. Don't mean to be political with this. As I said, I feel badly for those that had to borrow money to go to school, but that's still in our mind, neither economically nor in an effort of fairness, is the right thing to be doing. Now, hopefully, we're not going to get a wave of letters in that are going to argue the other side of that, because we get it. But we're talking about the economic impact, and it's not healthy to have debt forgiven in that way. Somebody pays, and in this case, it's every one of us that are taxpayers.
We've been getting a lot of questions, Ray, about Social Security. And there's no secret that Social Security is in trouble. My first question is, what is going to happen? I keep hearing that we're giving out Social Security to a lot of these illegals that are coming into the United States, and we're talking about millions, not thousands, millions. Is there going to be any solution to the trouble Social Security's in?
Well, Steve, we could take about 5 or 6 half-hour shows to give a thorough explanation of that one. But just this past week, the Social Security Trust Fund came out and said that because of the increased employment and higher wages, that Social Security basically is going to gain another year before it goes, quote unquote, bankrupt, with no longer having reserves to make 100% of the payments. So that's kind of the good news. There's one more year, but the bad news is that means there's one more year for Congress to delay taking and making the hard steps. And what are those hard steps? Well, it depends on your point of view. There was a survey that came out about 10 days ago. It was done by a very reputable firm, and 100%, virtually 100%, were in favor of reforming Social Security to save it. No surprise there. What was further not very surprising was, depending upon who you were, would come up with the solution to make it work. The vast majority, somewhere around 62%, if memory serves me correctly, said that this is a problem to be solved by charging the wealthy more. That is, right now, up to up to about $167,000, I believe it is this year, is the top level of income that is taxed for Social Security and Medicare. And the proposal is that would still stop there, be kind of a gap that would occur, and then over $400,000, you would start paying it again. And so the vast majority of people say, well, let the rich, those that are making lots more money, pay more and more and more. Well, that's one way of helping to solve the problem. The second way to solve the problem is to raise the age at which Social Security can first be obtained, which is currently 62. And there's a lot of people who believe that if we just raised it to 65 and then made full employment being at age 70, or full retirement benefit at age 70, as opposed to 67 where it is now, that would go a long way to it. Well, those that are really close to retirement aren't really excited about that idea. But again, that's a way to that some people would look at doing it, and that would apply to those that are very wealthy on the one hand and those that are very young on the other hand. And then the third is to simply raise the tax, and perhaps raise it by 1% on everybody, and 1% would work on the employee side, and then the other 1% would work on the employer side, which would get additional revenue. And virtually no one is in favor of that. So that probably tells you it's the best solution of the three to employ, because everybody's unhappy. The fact of the matter is, it's going to take some combination of all three of those things in order to really solve the problems associated with Social Security. We are going to have to raise the tax modestly. We are going to have to extend the age, again, modestly. And we probably need to tax more income than we're currently taxing. And so hopefully somehow people will understand we're all going to have to sacrifice a little bit if we want to preserve Social Security. And there are other suggestions that are out there, like capping the benefits on the very high wage earners at a certain level, not making inflation adjustments as time goes along. But we don't think those are going to survive, or those ideas are really going to bubble to the surface. It's probably going to be the three that we just mentioned in some combination.
We got a note from Mel in St. Petersburg. He said, I just started a job with a new employer. For the first time, I can participate in the 401k plan. I am 28 and retirement seems a long way off. Should I participate or not?
Well, Mel, first thing, let me say that when I was 28, I thought retirement was a long way off. And even though I'm significantly older than 28 today, I think retirement for me is still a long way off, because I just love what I do and hopefully add value to clients' lives. But 28 to, let's just say, 65, it's going to go a lot faster than you think it's going to go. And the closer you get to it, the faster that time is going to go by. So there's no time like the present to find yourself beginning to save. And it's wonderful that your employer has a match. You didn't mention what it was, but let's just say that they're going to match 50 cents of everything you put in on, let's say, the first 4%. So if you put in 4% of your salary, they'll put in another 2% of your salary towards your retirement at an absolute minimum. If there's any way possible for you to put away that minimum or that maximum amount that is matched, that is what you got to do. It's like free money, Steve, and people just have to take advantage of it. You put $4,000 in, let's say, on a $100,000 salary, and your boss puts in another 2, so you're up 50% without the market even going up. Now, granted, you have to stay for a number of years in most cases in order to become vested in the plan, but hopefully that you're going to do that. If you don't stay long enough, you may lose part or all of what was put in by your employer, and that's fair, because they're offering a retirement plan as a way to hopefully retain your services and the services of other employees at the firm. If you do leave, you can always roll it over to the 401k plan at your next place of employment, or you can move the money into an individual retirement account, an IRA, if that would be your preference. So please, Mel, at least put in that whatever that maximum amount is that gets matched by your employer. It's free money, and absolutely can't think of a better place for you to save money than in your 401k, where somebody's giving you an extra benefit.
Ray, how often should people update their legal documents?
Steve, first of all, I guess we have to say, how many of you don't have young? And by that, I mean, at a most basic level, a will, a power of attorney, a healthcare surrogate, and perhaps a living will, which is essentially the document that says if I'm on a machine, just pull the plug and with no chance of recovery, just pull the plug and let me go. So those 4 documents are documents that everyone ought to have. The will is your direction as to what's going to happen to your estate when you die. The power of attorney will give somebody else the ability to sign legal documents on your behalf. Usually it's your spouse if you're married. The healthcare surrogate form is the one where you're going to give somebody else the ability to make healthcare decisions for you if you're unable to do it for yourself. And as I mentioned, the living will is the one pull the plug. Those 4 documents, everybody should have done. Not horribly expensive to get those from most lawyers, and ought to be done. The bad part is you don't realize that if you don't have a will, there is a will. And here in Florida, the legislature has been kind enough to write a will for you if you die intestate, which means without a will. And I promise you that in the vast majority of cases, whatever the legislatures have written into the law as to how your estate's to be distributed is probably not the way you want it to be done. So get a will and put it in place. For those that have a more complicated estate, they may want to consider getting, in addition to those 4 documents, a living trust, which is a document that will help minimize the effects of probate, which can be expensive in the first place. It's public. So eliminating or minimizing probate is a good thing. It also helps in the case that you become incapacitated, making a decision as to who will manage your financial affairs when you're unable to, and much more powerful, in our opinion, than a power of attorney by itself. So now back to your question. How often should I do this? Well, first of all, you should do it anytime that there is a major life-changing event in your life. You got married, you got divorced, you added children, all of those major life-changing events should make you go back and review the documents to make sure that that's what you want. And so our suggestion is that at least once every 5 years, and preferably once every 3 years, even if you don't have that life-changing event, you go back and review your legal documents and make sure that they are still outlining your wishes in case of death, and to make sure that the person you named as your power of attorney or healthcare surrogate is the one that you want to continue. There are some financial institutions that, if a power of attorney is more than 5 years old, make it complicated for whoever has the power in some cases. So freshening that every 3 to 5 years, just that one document, is strongly advised by us in dealing with our clients.
Ray, I wanted to say this till the end of the show today, and you and I have talked about this before. I was a sports agent for about 12 years, and my clients would always ask me about investing their money, and I never would do that. I'd always refer them to a big firm, but I never wanted to get involved in that type of endorsing somebody. But I got to tell people this. I totally endorse Ray and Provise Company. Over the years, I've just learned I really believe in what you do and really what you do for your clients. Let's tell everybody how they can reach you.
Well, first of all, they will have seen scrolling across the bottom of the screen our website, which is www.provise.com. I guess that shows how old-fashioned I am, Steve. I had to add that www. Nobody does that anymore.
I still do it.
Oh, it's Monday morning. That's what it is. Anyway, at provise.com. Or you can reach out to us at 727-441-9022. There it is, right across the bottom of the screen at the moment. Sign up for our bi-monthly newsletter. I guess I should say bi-weekly because it's twice a month. That we call the Provise Perspectives, where we talk about what's happening in the economy, taxes, other ideas on how to maximize your financial planning. Or take advantage of our 1 hour complimentary conversation where we'll sit down with you in person in either our Clearwater or Tampa office or by Zoom, your preference, and give you an opportunity to learn more about us and us about you. And then if there's a fit, we would be delighted to add you to our family of clients, which now are right around 1,200. And we're managing about $1.9 billion on behalf of our clients as of the end of last month.
Ray, we cannot ever thank you enough for your knowledge, your experience, and Ray's with us twice every month. And we look forward to our next show with you. Thank you so much, Ray.
Steve, take care, and I look forward to being with you next week.
You bet. See you again.
Take care.
Ray Farrar. He's Provise. Our next show is going to be a replay. There was some sickness in the family. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.